Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to take a moment and talk with you about JFK Jr. Yes. Now, I'm sure you're aware, many of you, that Tucker Carlson has a program on Twitter now where he presents the news. Yeah, much like he did in the original tone and tenor that he presented himself on Fox. Well, it's just now on Twitter. Now, I'm not impressed. I know so many people are going gaga over his show. So what? Who cares? He's an anti-white POS as far as I'm concerned. He won't say the word. He won't address the problem. But that's not what this is about. Tonight, we're going to talk about JFK Jr. and why he's being attacked in the media. Now, I don't know if I have these details quite right. You tell me, please correct me if I get anything wrong here. But the gist of it, as I understand it, is that he went on Joe Rogan's podcast, and I did see a couple of clips of it, and he's a very, very intelligent man, talking about the COVID vaccines, the lockdowns, the harm that they've done, everything. The fact that these vaccines are not actual vaccines, they are gene therapy drugs. Things like that. Now, the media is attacking him. There is also this nerdy-looking supposed scientist, can't remember the guy's name, who was invited to go on the Joe Rogan podcast and debate Kennedy about the vaccines, and he was offered $1 million plus to do it, and he refused. Instead, he went on CNN and basically slandered Kennedy, called him a murderer practically. That's paraphrasing. Now, let's backtrack a moment. In my opinion, everybody's distracted with this whole conversation around the vaccines and COVID and all of that as it pertains to JFK's position on these things. But that's not at all why he's being attacked. That's just a distraction. And in fact, I think the media plays a role in distracting JFK Jr. himself. Because now he's fixated on the whole vaccine. He's gotten a lot of attention for the things that he has said about the vaccines, about COVID, about the lockdowns, and now he's laser focused on that. Well, think about his father, JFK Sr. Think about what he was focused on. He was focused on eliminating the central banking system and abolishing the Fed. And do you know what that would do? That would destroy the anti-white oligarchs. That would interrupt trade. That would, most of all, put the power to print money back into the hands of Congress. And guess what effect that would have? That would end wage slavery for our people, for all people in the United States. Not just whites, but for non-whites too. Everybody would benefit from that. And the anti-white oligarchs regime would have no more power over us. That means the media would have to cease and desist spewing anti-white hatred, right? Now, why am I talking about anti-whiteism in conjunction with this so much? Because the media, or this whole country, in case you haven't noticed, has had an anti-white imperative, an anti-white moral imperative shoved down its throat for for my entire lifetime. Now, yes, I am getting these terms from Jason Kuna at nowhiteguilt.org, and I encourage you to go check him out on both his website and here on YouTube at simply nowhiteguilt. Okay? He hosts a stream every Sunday. I'm going to give him every ounce of credit that he is due for having worked for the last 30 years to defeat anti-whiteism by creating a lexicon that does just that. It poisons the anti-white narrative. It makes them have to use your words. It makes them have to speak your language if they want to address you. And by using that lexicon, it destroys their own narrative very, very effectively. We can get more into that at a later date, but let's focus here on the distraction that is taking place. That is JFK Jr. rather, his focus on the whole vaccine issue. His focus is intentionally being redirected away from his stated intent to continue in his father's footsteps to eliminate the central banking system and abolish the Fed. Are you following me? Please try to keep up. If you're not able to think for yourself, that's no good. If you can't follow this, then don't worry. Let me do your thinking for you. But this entire thing is a distraction. It's to make people forget JFK Jr.'s stated intent to follow in his footsteps to free the American people from wage slavery, which would mean we would actually be prosperous. We would actually be more effective in our voting choices. We would be able to eliminate the unmitigated flow of both legal and illegal immigration from the third world and all non-white, anti-white countries into this country. Why do you think that's happening? Think about it. It's not because these people want a prosperous place to live, no. It's because they are encouraged to come here. They are trying, and I know it might sound cliche to you, but white erasure in fiction is conditioning for white erasure in reality. I will give Cornelius Newland, Fornull of the No White Guilt community, credit for that one. That one is a very powerful meme curative to the meme pathogen of the American melting pot. This was never supposed to be a melting pot. This was never intended to be a place for the rest of the entire world to come at whim. Okay? So just understand this. The next time you review Tucker Carlson's video on JFK and his focus on the vaccine, and he did say some very powerful things, and yes, the media is both legitimately attacking him for that, but what they don't want you to know is that the real reason they're attacking him is because of his designs on the central banking system and the Fed. That's the real reason. That's why you should vote for him if he winds up on the ballot. Hope you understood that. Hope you were able to follow that. Hope you were able to absorb that and let that sink in. Because if he is successful, there's going to be some big positive changes for this country that the anti-white moral imperative will not be able to stop. Hope you all have a great night.